Rocket Mortgage and Realtor.com have struck a huge advertising deal. What does it mean for buyers and sellers? We're going to talk about it all next on Tom's Take. You're definitely going to want to watch this one. Big news in the real estate world, and kind of more of the same. We're seeing another partnership deal that just came out the beginning of October with Rocket Mortgage and Realtor.com. And what they're doing is Rocket Mortgage is going to give people the ability to get pre-approved in potentially 20 minutes. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Right on Realtor.com for the people that inquire about real estate on their site. So, not surprising with the partnership. We're seeing a lot of this stuff happen right now. I mean, we've got, Rocket Mortgage is talking about partnering with agents. Loan Depot's having an IPO. A lot of these companies are doing the same thing. The question is, what does it mean on the local level for buyers and sellers? So we got Steve Bazzagani here, awesome team member, good friend of mine. Steve, talk about the purchase side. I know you do both, but you wanted to kind of jump into that and talk about what this means for buyers having this sort of partnership in place.
I would say it's a little bit of a red flag, at least on its face. I mean, obviously this has just happened, so we don't really have much of a track record to go off of. But I would say, like, any kind of time where you could see somebody doing anything in, a short period of time like this, it's, anything, what is it? He who makes haste makes waste or something like that.
Yeah, there we go.
Like, anything that's done that quick, I mean, I would say, buying a home is a big process. It's a longer process. To say that they could just pull all of your financial information and things like that, and then just slap it together a pre-approval, doesn't really tell me they've done a ton of research and they can stand behind that. It's going to be hard to verify that they can stand behind that. So I would just say, if you do go down this path, definitely double check it. You want to make sure you stick with a local bank. Obviously, supporting local business is important to us here at the Tom Toole team. So you want to make sure that you kind of compare that new 20-minute pre-approval or whatever we're going to call this thing, and to a local bank's pre-approval, and that way you can compare the two. Where with someone who's actually in your market buying, financing homes that you're actually going to be buying, versus like Rocket Mortgage has probably never seen or maybe not even heard of some of the neighborhoods you're even buying in.
Yeah, well, and this is kind of Rocket's MO, because remember, they used to be called Quicken Loans. This is a classic rebrand, right? So they tend to just slap a pre-approval together. They do it on the internet, and they don't look at your tax returns, because you got to provide those. Like, they don't have access, right?
Right.
They're pulling credit, and that's probably it, and they're relying on you for the income information, which should be right, but I'm sure some people just put in numbers. Yeah. And some people also, especially when you're in business for yourself, they look at top-line revenue instead of actual net income in terms of what they make. Realtors do this all the time. So you got to be careful there. On the sell side, my view of this is, if you're a seller, obviously you're looking for a pre-approval, a buyer's financial to come in with any offer that comes in. If you get a Rocket Mortgage approval, and I would say this for most big banks, make sure it's been vetted properly. Talk to someone there, or get your agent to talk to someone there that they know they've had tax returns, they've reviewed credit, they've done all these things that you should be doing, because the last thing you want to see happen, and we've seen this both a number of times, everything looks good, you're getting yesed to death by the lender, and then all of a sudden, like a week before closing, bad news, we can't approve the loan.
Oops.
And this is a classic move by big banks, and Rocket is definitely in that group. So if you're a seller, you see that kind of pre-approval come through, make sure your agent is vetting it. I think that's a really important step that you want to take here. And like Steve said, you want to kind of compare it on the other side, on the buy side, because they could just be saying, hey, everything sounds great. You're a first-time buyer. You may not know any better.
Right, yeah, you don't know that's coming. You got to make sure you got to check that out. So, and a local bank will look a little bit more into detail. Like, I usually, a good rule of thumb for me is I think a good local bank should be able to produce a formal pre-approval letter for you within 24 to 48 hours. That's realistic.
I agree.
And that's, if it takes longer than that, they're not doing a good enough service for you. And if they're doing it in 20 minutes, that's, scary fast. It's how many things are they skipping? So, how a person does one thing is how a person does all things. As a first-time buyer or anything like that, try to expect a pre-approval within 24 to 48 hours. That kind of shows that they're actually doing their due diligence as lenders and actually checking all the boxes they need to actually give you a real valuable, concrete pre-approval.
Love it. We covered a lot here. If you're buying or selling, you see Rocket, be careful, be wary, do your research, and you should end up in good shape. We'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for coming on, Steve. You're definitely going to want to watch this one.